Hey there, I'm coming to talk to you guys in week 4 of my 203K renovation of a multi-unit building in the hot Woodlawn area. So week 4 has been very uneventful. We've gotten our permit last week, and this week we're actually just waiting on inspection. So for the new investor, I want to make sure that I make this statement. Understanding the timeline, understanding what things will be happening, and actually getting clarity on what can go on and what cannot go on during the inspection while you're waiting on the inspector to come look at parts of a project is paramount, especially when you are determining when you're going to get tenants into a property by the information that is being provided from your contractor. And it is always good to have someone who you can trust on your team to give you accurate information to the best of their ability each time that you ask a question. And for me, if you guys haven't noticed by now, I am big on asking questions. I ask myself questions, my contractor questions, my lender questions, everyone questions, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure I am making sound decisions based upon sound information. So to talk a little bit about what did happen this week. So as I said, this is my first multi-unit project. And I chose 203K because it gave me an opportunity to have more team members on aligned with giving me information on what needed to be done, when it needed to be done, and how it would need to be done. So I explained in my previous video about having a HUD consultant and having a general contractor and what those roles actually are. And I want to add some tidbits of information there. You want to make sure that your HUD consultant actually does a thorough inspection, because all of the information that is given to your general contractor to bid on is based upon what that HUD consultant finds out when they do the inspection of the property. So currently, the couple of things that have had to happen that were not part of the scope of the original scope of work were we had to add new hot water tanks. We currently are in the process of doing a repair on the refrigerator. We found out that the dishwasher on the first floor unit is garbage. It doesn't work at all. It'll cost you $300 to $400 to fix, and the dishwasher itself is only $399. We found out the washer and dryer on the second floor is not operational. And these are little tidbits of information that would have been great to know ahead of time, because you would have put that in your scope of work in the very beginning. Now, that's not to say that my HUD consultant didn't do a good job. That just is to say that you want to make sure that you know the things that are necessary to be checked on in that inspection. And when you're a newbie, you will not know. Hence the reason for me making these videos, to possibly keep another new investor who's out there trying to figure out a way to make decisions based upon information that is being provided, so you can have the knowledge of knowing what information you really need to make sure that you have, to make sure that you make great decisions. Because remember, every dollar that goes into the project over what your expected amount is coming either out of your pocket or is coming out of your contingency. The more that is coming out of your contingency, the less things in the project that you want to happen are going to happen. So as I said, this week has not been very eventful as far as the project itself. There has been no work done the entire week, and I'll say at the project. However, what's been going on behind the scenes? Hence why we're behind the brick. Each of the units have a unique demographic that I had planned to utilize the units for. My original purpose of buying a multi-unit was to one, have a property I could do a value add to, which means that I was going to buy a property at a low property amount and get renovation dollars to bring more equity into the project, hence rising the value of that project. So that's what a value add actually is. When you take a property for a lower property value, you have to get that property at a low enough number where your value the renovation actually brings a value add. And that is when you have to go and really understand the area in which you're buying in, what the property values are in that area, and what do you see on the horizon coming up in that area as you're doing your renovation. So the current project that I'm working on is two buildings. One contains the second floor is a 2-unit. The first floor is currently a 1-unit, and the back building is actually a 3-unit. From my previous videos, I did talk a little bit about what I am doing to that building. Just to refresh, if this is your first time watching, the first floor is being duplex down to the basement, and we're adding 3 bedrooms in the basement of building 1. In building 2, we are deconstructing it and making it a single family home that's going to have 2,800 square feet of living space, but the building is actually 3,500 square feet. One of the apartments into a Airbnb on a short-term rental. The second apartment was going to be a mid-term rental, and the third apartment was going to be a long-term rental. And due to some unforeseen things that came up, I saw that there was a demographic that really needed some assistance, and so I switched my focus to start to look into providing housing for homeless veterans in the Chicagoland area. And I started reaching out to organizations. I'm one of these people that when I say I want to do something, I start diving into it head first. I start researching, I start calling around, asking questions. Once again, I am very inquisitive. I think it's one of my stronger traits because it allows me to find out as much information about a subject prior to me diving in head first. So usually I dip my toe in, figure out and find out if the water's cold, and then determine if what can I do to warm it up. So my second best trait is that I'm very solution based. So first I reached out to the actual VA in the area to ask questions about what could I do to get on a list and what was necessary for me to start trying to house veterans once part 1 of the project was complete. I'll say there was some mixed information given. They did provide me information on a program called HUD-VASH. That program was more tailored towards getting a veteran into a house with affordable living. So what I'm looking to do is more so have a cooperative living situation where multiple veterans can get a place to live and get off of the streets. To me, there should be no veteran who does not have housing. And hey, I can go on a whole tangent on that, but maybe in a later video. But at this point, I'm just reaching out, getting fillers, and basically asking all of the questions of the what, the when, the why, what can I do, how can I do it, and what information does that program require for me to be able to work with them. And that's part 1 of something that happened this week. Then part 2, a company reached out to me because, as I said, I've been pulling fillers out ever since I bought the property on the 13th of June, trying to make sure that once it's finished that I have someone able to live in the property, and I don't want to rent it out as a long-term rental. I want to make sure that it's a rental that is actually helping others be successful in their journey. So the other place reached out to me to advise that they have a rental pad program where they manage all of bedroom type rentals, and it's for people who have low incomes, who can't afford to have a full apartment, but are looking for something where utilities are included. They can have a safe place and things of that nature. It was very interesting from the information that I received because it talked about not having a shared living space. And I'll probably put a video out here at a later time that goes into more in depth what that program really is about. And then we could talk a little bit more about that, and you guys can give me some feedback of things that you heard as well. As I said, I'm not an expert, I'm a novice. I'm learning along with you guys on how to best utilize the investment that I'm investing in, and also be able to help other people at the same time. Um, Whenever you are in a multi-unit situation, you have to have it in your heart to want to do something right or something better. Otherwise, that situation usually ends up in a real bad situation. So the third program that was brought to my attention was helping disabled individuals who lack having housing, and that was a program that was brought to me, and we discussed a little bit about how does it work, what is the room situations, what was necessary, and as over the next coming weeks, I will develop more understanding about each of those programs, so I can make a determination about which program will work best in the housing situation that will be available by August 15th. Hopefully, city has got to get out there and do the inspection. So come on, anybody from the city who's watching, help us out. We're trying to make sure that we're able to house some people, get people off the street, whether no matter which demographic it is. Each of those demographics involves helping someone else have a better place to live tomorrow. So if you're out there watching, give us a hand. We're always looking. We're trying to do great things in our communities. So back to the video at hand. But at the end of the day, it's really about trying to figure out which program is going to work best inside of this current structure of the property, and allow the tenants to be successful and myself to be successful as a new landlord of a multi-unit building. So you guys keep on watching. I will definitely be bringing more information. And as I said, this is week 4. No real work inside of the property, but plenty of work outside the property that is going to allow once we're complete with renovation of property 1, we'll be able to have some positive cash flow, hopefully, and be able to help some great people who need our assistance. So till next week, I appreciate all you guys watching. Keep watching Behind the Ripper.